Hi folks, well today I thought I'd share with you a feature that's available in Stellarium which can help you both frame and compose your astro imaging sessions. Welcome to AstroGouge. So if you're very new to astrophotography and you haven't heard of Stellarium, it's a free download. It's planetarium software which is designed to tell you which objects are present in the sky at your location and give you a list of objects that are available for imaging or indeed just observing. However, there's a really nice feature on it which not only helps you frame a particular image but also helps you compose it, and it's available in what's termed the ocular tab in Stellarium. Again, for those of you that are new to astrophotography or indeed astronomy, I'll leave a link at the end that will direct you to a web page for the free download of Stellarium. So let's go and look at this really useful feature.
The first thing we're going to do is tell Stellarium what kit we're using for our astro imaging, and that's simplicity itself really. So what we need to do is go up to this little square here, which is what they call it, oculars, and we need to give it a list of equipment that we're using because we might often be using a combination of different things. So to do that, we're going to go to the settings little tab here, and this thing pops up almost straight away. So the first thing, we're not interested in eyepieces and lenses or anything like that at the moment. That's more for visual use. The first thing I'm going to tell it is what kind of camera we're using really. And you notice here I've got 4 up. So if we look at first of all the Attic 460 EX, which is a monochrome camera, I filled in all the relevant details regarding its resolution, its chip size, and in fact I'd be using it at ×1 binning. Obviously if you've got ×2 binning you can change it, it's easy enough to do that. And everything else is pretty much at default. Likewise for the ASI 2600, which is the APC size chip, color, one-shot color camera. It's again filled in the relevant details here. I've changed the rotation angle here, I'll explain that in a minute. And again I've set up for binning. So you simply, once you've done all that, let's say wanted to change this to or put a new one in, then you can do that. I've done that setup. I'm not going to go over that with you, it's very boring for you to watch that. It's straightforward. So the next thing we have to do, we've given it a list of sensors that we might be using. Obviously if you're only using one camera, then it's pretty straightforward, is to tell it a little bit about the telescope that you're using. So again, I've set this up. For example, this Spree 120, you tell it what the focal length is, and what the size of the aperture is, and what kind of mount it's on, and whether it's equatorially driven or not. And again, looking at another one, I've got the Sharp Star 61 with the 0.8 reducer on it, corrected reducer, and that gives me an effective focal length of 264 millimeters with a objective diameter of 61 millimeters. And again, it'll be on an equatorial mount. So that's pretty much set up. You can set, as I say, if you've only got one telescope, one camera, it's simplicity. If you've got different telescopes and different cameras, then you put them all in that way you can use or apply different combinations to the settings we're about to show you. So once you've done that, simply close it. Right, we're pretty much good to go. The system knows what kit or combination of kit that we have. Now, it still doesn't get astronomically dark where I am at the moment, so what I've done is I've changed the time in month settings. So I've actually got what my sky might look like in a couple of months' time when it does get astronomically dark. So let's see if we want to take a picture of the what will we do? All right, we'll do the North American Nebula. All right, okay. So it's there we are. And let's zoom in on that. So there's what Stellarium reckons the North American Nebula looks like in terms of its size or apparent size in the sky. What we're really interested in at this point is how our equipment combination is going to frame that. So I've clicked on the ocular tab here, this one here, relating to the sensor and telescope. Now it's giving me different options here. So at the moment it's displaying what the view will look like if I use the ASI 2600 OSC in combination with the Sharp Star and the ×8 reducer corrector, and it's giving me this huge field of view which it's displaying here, which is something like 5 by 3 degrees, almost 6 by 3.5 actually, and it's also displaying what it considers to be the center of that particular object. So right away we can see that combination of sensor and with that telescope gives us a massive field of view. So let's change that a little bit. So if I'm going to use the Sharp Star, let's say with the Attic, let's say I want to do some broadband, let's say I want to do some narrowband imaging using the monochrome camera with the narrowband filters. Again, I can simply change this filter here. So I'm still using the Sharp Star, but this time with a smaller chip. So obviously what happens is the field of view gets smaller. So again, that's what it looked like with the 2600, that's what it looks like with the 460. So again, and it's displaying what the field of view afforded by that combination is. And again, just to, let's see if we change this, for example, to the Spree 120. We're narrowing in on a much smaller area of the object in question. So we're back to the view of this object using the Attic 460X with the Spree 120. And what we can see here, based upon the quoted coordinates of Stellarium, is, you know, of the telescope centers there, this is the view you will get based upon the quoted celestial coordinates of this object. Now, let's say you can see here, it's probably not as easy to see in this particular window because it's red on red, but that's your field of view here. Now let's say I wanted to take a picture of the wall here and I wanted to center it, but of course, well, what I could do normal is simply get the thing centered as best I can and then fiddle about with the telescope mount to tweak the direction of the mount till I get this particular object in view or centered or wherever I want it. But this is the beauty of this particular system. What you can actually do is, instead of using the quoted J2000 coordinates here, if you're going to plug these into your software like SG Pro or whatever you use, then what I can simply do is perhaps tell that I want to focus on I want to use this star's coordinates, and what you see is the thing sort of shifts a bit so that that's centered and I'm getting the wall nicely centered. Or again, if I want it a little bit more up to the top right hand side, again I can simply click on another star here and you'll notice that the coordinates have changed. So if I want to get that particular framing, then I would use the coordinates of that star rather than the quoted coordinates for the object in its entirety. Now obviously what you might have to do is play about with the angle of the camera, so you might have to rotate the camera or the focuser to get that desired composition. But of course that's a lot easier than having to move the mount north or south or east or west, then overshooting or whatever. Hopefully if you're using plate solving and it's well set up, then you should get to here, there or thereabouts, without having to muck about with the mount itself. As I say, you're more than likely going to have to change the rotation or change the orientation of the camera. But that, as I say, I find that's a lot simpler than have to fool about with the actual mount. Again, we can go back into the settings, and if I want to see what this particular composition would look like if I change the orientation of the camera from 45 degrees to say 90, then we can simulate that quite easily just by changing the numbers here, and there we go. So it's sort of shifted from here upwards. So that would be the view we would get if we had the camera in that orientation. And again, if you wanted a portrait kind of composition and you weren't too happy with the centering, what you could simply do is again click on this star and move it in a bit, maybe a bit more. Let's see, let's try that one. Yeah, it looks a bit better. And again, you'll see that the coordinates that you're going to put into SG Pro or APT or whatever you use changes. And as I say, if you're using plate solving and your equatorial mounts well orientated, and you should get pretty close to this kind of composition or view. So let's look at another popular object, the Andromeda Galaxy. Again, let's bring it up on Stellarium and zoom in. And we want to know, well, how's the thing going to look with, for example, in my case it was what was it before? It was the SPRI 120 and the 2600. Well, that's what it's going to look like. You know, it's quite a large field of view given the size of the sensor chip here, but I'm not getting the entire thing into the field of view. So again, what it looks like I'm going to have to do is swap down to the sharp star, and there we have it. And again, let's say I wanted to put it off center slightly. This is the quoted celestial coordinates for what Stellarium considers to be the center of that particular object. But let's say for some reason I wanted to offset it slightly to, I don't know, to the right, then I could just simply click on the star here and it will center. Yeah. Or if I wanted to move it, I don't know, a bit further to the top for whatever reason, again, the celestial coordinates will change because I've told it I want to center on this particular star. So and again, the information around the side reflects that. Here's your array and deck values, which mirror these, and it's giving you the field of view data here. If I change the telescope, let's say to Equinox 800 ED, again getting quite a nice field of view there. But again, if I want to bring that kind of change the composition, again I could, so it's maybe a bit far, so let's try that then. Yeah, kind of getting there. Nope, it's down. Let's try that. Almost. So again, you can play about with it just to see what kind of composition you can get as pleasing to you, depending on what instruments you're using. Again, if I was using something like the monochrome camera with RGB filters, again, you'll see I'm not going to get it in with the ED80. If I go to the Sharp Star, again, I get quite a pleasing composition with it all in the field of view. With that particular camera chip, because obviously it's smaller than the one I previously demonstrated. So it's a really useful tip, this, I think. Somebody showed this to me. I hadn't realised it was there before, and I've used this in quite a lot of my astro imaging, because it takes the pain out of focus and framing. And like I say, you might have to fiddle about with the angle of the camera, which is relatively straightforward, but I can assure you it is a lot less faff using plate solving with this than trying to move the thing manually and overshooting or undershooting or whatever. So a very, very worthwhile feature of Stellarium, which I think maybe not everybody is aware of, but certainly recommend having a play with it and seeing how you get on.
Well folks, as you can see, this is a really useful tool for planning your astrophotography sessions. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did and you like this content and want the heads up on any future content that I may produce, then please feel free to subscribe, and if you like it, again, give us the thumbs up in it. Meantime, thanks for watching, and keep watching the skies.
Watch the skies everywhere. Keep looking. Keep watching the skies.